In today's episode, Dr. Rob and George Stavro talk about vitamins, minerals, and, well, supplements from a bird's eye view, pros and cons. And really, just to remind everyone that nobody's the expert on inflammation.
Very nice.
Try
Let's
to-
get to. Sorry, I was going to say.
Yeah, no.
How about looking at say like vitamins, minerals, supplements? So what should people be watching
my
out
God.
for? So it's like you've got some like that are just more isolates made in the lab, and then others come from nature. If we can get say the pros and cons of each one, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so let's start with vitamins and minerals, isolates. So vitamins and minerals are not food. They're chemicals, basically. They're isolated. It's like a drug, basically. It's a compound. Yeah. So vitamin C, it's called ascorbic acid, right? B6 would be pyridoxal 6-phosphate. There's slightly different forms and versions of these compounds, but essentially they're like drug names.
Yeah.
And they're chemical compounds. And they have huge advantages, especially when you're comparing them to pharmaceutical drugs. So that would be a pro. So let's say certain mental health disorders, there have been some great studies on what vitamin C can do in high doses, ascorbic acid, or niacin, for example, is another one, B3 in high doses. People with carpal tunnel syndrome, there's been some crazy good studies for B6, for example. So you could use high dose. Magnesium has been used a lot for anxiety or sleep or loose stools. If you buy the like the Natural Calm magnesium citrate.
That's right. Yeah.
So those would be pros. Not medical advice, of course, but
no.
But the con is that once you put these compounds into your body, there's no telling what they'll do. So we don't know what high dose vitamin, actually, in some respects we do. So actually, I talk about this in the book too, mind you. Anytime we've really ever looked at a high dose isolate, like a vitamin or mineral, over a long period of time, there haven't been as many studies as we'd like, but anytime we've really ever looked at them, they only really cause detriment. When you look at vitamin A, C, E, calcium is a big one. That's a huge myth and misconception we can get into, but they only show harm over the long run. And I think part of the reason is because you just don't know what they're doing. So that would be the con. It's like taking a drug for a long, long time. If you have a headache, and I've had headaches where I just feel like I'm going to vomit, and it's just better to take an Advil. Yeah. Take an Advil. Like it'll make you better in 20 minutes. And then.
Yeah. Well, it's a quick fix. At the same time, look at the underlying issue. What's causing it? What type of stressors are you eating too much of something or not enough of something else? And even what you're saying with high doses of things, I definitely follow what you're saying. Like, high doses for a shorter period of time, and it's monitored by a healthcare practitioner that really knows their stuff, rather than as a lifestyle thing indefinitely. It's because you don't always need a high dose of anything the rest of your life. Absolutely. As good as it looks like, because after a while, with vitamin C, it's like, there's a whole pro-oxidant versus antioxidant type of thing that's going on as well. Beyond a certain point there, it's like it's causing damage.
Yes. And so I think that's exactly it. So we don't know what's going on. So I'm not an advocate of taking any vitamin or mineral for a long period of time ever. Now, absolutely. And then there's the idea of food. So, but it's very tricky. The natural health industry has become very good at marketing this idea that vitamins and minerals are natural or that come from food. Be careful, because if you don't care, if you're just looking for vitamins and minerals, then it's fine. But if you're looking for whole food, telling somebody that it's natural or from food does not mean that you're just getting orange powder as a vitamin C supplement. First of all, very few companies will ever just rip out vitamin C from a food like an orange. It's very expensive, number one. And also, even if you could do that, more times than not, it requires harsh chemical solvents to rip it out.
Wow. Yeah. So it's causing a lot of damage in the long run too.
Yeah. And plus you have no idea what that's going to do in the body. But if you take an orange, or like an orange powder that's dried up without using any chemicals, like a freeze drying or some other innovative chemical free process, there's vitamin C contained within, but that's the idea. It's contained within the context of the whole orange, other immune compounds, other antioxidants, other things that balance it out. Yeah. We know that you could take that type of supplement for a long period of time in the same way that you could eat an orange for a long period of time, unless you have a sensitivity to citrus. That's a different story.
That's right.
But even then, with whole food, if you eat copious amounts of orange in the same day, I mean, you'll have diarrhea. I mean,
and you're flushing yourself.
Yeah, you can't keep. I mean, how much mango could you eat on your best day? You know, after a Canadian winter here, I could probably eat quite a few mangoes. Like today, I could probably eat quite a few of them.
Exactly, but you're not going to do it for the rest of the year.
No, you're going to get sick of it, and then eventually you're going to be like, ugh, you know what? I can't even look at mango anymore. So the same with supplement. You gotta change it up, and you need variety, I think. And I think that's the big key message when you're looking at supplements and you're reading the labels.
Yeah.
I mean, this subject I could talk about all day. Like we could spend a week talking about what to look for on labels. Like when somebody looks at a green powder, maybe we can talk about this on the next
definitely
podcast. But kind of like, you know, there's a million green supplements out there. Especially a lot of these, like, what do you call these, multi-level marketing and so forth?
Yeah, like network marketing and direct marketing.
Yeah, some are better than others. What should you look for on the labels?
We could get into that before. Well, if you interrupt for a second, so it's like, one of the challenges I have is like we both worked in retail health stores over the years. The whole idea of supplement means in addition to, it's not supposed to replace things. So it's like, don't go for that quick fix where you're just relying on all these powders and pills and whatever. Take a look at what you're putting in your body. What type of foods and beverages are you consuming regularly? And the supplements can fill in the gaps. It's like, I'm not going to keep picking out at the local fast food joint or something like that. It's like, well, I've got my green powder over here and balancing things out. It's like, let's work on that foundation first, and the other stuff, it's like, use it as I need it.
Absolutely. Calcium. Big misconception. Do you need calcium or like do you need calcium for bone loss? And it's like do you need calcium for bone loss? There's the question.
My understanding is you actually need more magnesium for bone loss rather than the calcium. I could be mistaken.
Well, it depends on where's the calcium. I mean, calcium is a huge component of bones.
Yeah.
But I think we're not looking at the root cause. So we see calcium, bone calcium being leached out of our bones, among other minerals like magnesium and so forth.
Yeah.
But the natural health industry has created this paradigm where we believe now as a society that we need to take calcium pills, usually from calcium carbonate or calcium carbonate bound to something else like a bisglycinate or citrate or whatever, claiming higher absorption of calcium. Great. That just means you're absorbing more of the exact same calcium molecule, which is usually from like a rock. Calcium carbonate's chalk.
Yeah.
But if you look at one of the leading root causes of bone loss, it's inflammation. So it's not just, we lose calcium. We lose it to inflammation a lot of the time. So what is causing the inflammation to you? It might be meat or it might not be. Yeah.
And that's a huge thing because, I'm nowhere near like, the expert on inflammation that you certainly are. But my understanding is like, if you minimize the amount of inflammation in a person's body, then you really don't have to go as crazy as far as like, other things to look out for.
Oh my God! You know what I've learned over time? Nobody's the expert on inflammation. So when I wrote this book, I originally was going to call it inflammation, sugar, and stress because those are the three connections, at least that I made with chronic disease. So I thought it would be in 3 sections. So I would write one section on inflammation. I can't tell you how frustrating it was, how many versions I would write up and then just crush the paper, just throw it out. And it was like agonizing to write it. So I eventually changed the whole format of the book. It was so frustrating, but you're right. There's just so much on it. And, when it comes to supplements, we were talking about vitamins and minerals and calcium. If you have a lot of inflammation and it's leaching calcium from your bones, and then you take calcium supplements, chances are that calcium is going to be drawn to places of inflammation. And a lot of the time
maybe get deposited in there.
Absolutely. Or deposited in your arteries or elsewhere in your brain. There's all sorts of areas in the body, in your kidneys. So really have to be careful when it comes to supplementation, and you really have to know what you're doing. Just because something says natural on the bottle doesn't mean. I went into the grocery store this morning and there was an end cap, like a display for all the other, right? And it said something like "Au natural brioche." Brioche, like those beautiful kind of like soft, I guess, buns.
That's right.
And I couldn't resist. I picked up the package. I kind of felt it. It was so soft. It's first thing in the morning. I was a little tired. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But then I turned around. I read the ingredients. It's like all this mono and diglycerides and all this garbage that they put in there.
That's right.
So the number one tip is don't be fooled. Read the ingredients, and if in doubt, connect with somebody. There's so many experts online. I'm available. You can DM me on Instagram.
Definitely.
You can email me, George.
We're going to have your information there for sure.
Yeah.
Part of the podcast will be mentioned on the website.
Yeah. And there's so many people out there. Just connect with the people who actually know, who don't have an invested interest in selling you something.
Exactly. That's huge.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and even the whole idea of inflammation, because a lot of times we're doing things that's causing inflammation, then we're doing something that's supposed to take care of it. Let's not cause it in the first place.
Yeah. And I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, we need inflammation. We need inflammation to heal. It's part of the immune response. We need it to fight infections. But you really have to know what you're putting in your body. And, a lot of times those of us who know, we still, doctors are infamous for this, actually. You walk outside of a hospital and you see doctors outside smoking cigarettes, right? Sometimes on a Tuesday or Thursday night, you'll catch me out on a patio. I'll be having chicken wings because I just can't take it anymore. Or we all have our vices in some way or another. Even the so-called, go ahead.
And recognize it for what it is. So you think, okay, either you're on the patio having your chicken wing or you're not eating at all. So it's like, you want to go 8 hours without any kind of nutrients, or do you want to have a quick fix that maybe it's not the best thing for you, but to get to the point there where you got some extra calories coming in so you can make it through the rest of the day, and then you eat healthy. Yeah,
one thing I've learned is that the purists, for the most part, are not really purists. The purists are purists, but then you'll catch them smoking pot outside. And I'm not necessarily against the herb itself, but man, you know how many free radicals you're generating by lighting the match? I mean, that's right. You might as well barbecue a steak or whatever. I mean, it's not. You have a lot of these so-called experts who think they know better than everybody, but they don't really talk. They don't really walk the walk. They're just talking. They're just blabbing for an audience. So
well, I just be upfront with people. I should do a fair amount of personal training in the day, and I tell my clients,
that's right. Yes.
I'm going to be a slob on the weekend. And you say, well, is that part of your plan? I go, I planned for it. I know what damage I'm causing, but I also know what to do to bounce back from it.
Plan for it. I look forward to it.
Yeah, exactly.
I look forward to being a slob on the weekend. Yeah.
So it's like, it's 5 or 6 steps forward, a couple steps back, and I'm still better off than, say, the average person that's out there. So if I'm going to be taking a large amount of meat, I'm going to make sure I've got enough fiber so I'm regular, so the meat just doesn't sit in my system for too long.
Yeah.
Well, and that brings up another thing. So